Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome everybody. I'm your host, I'm Good Kitty. I'm the founder of BlockTune Music, and I am so excited to be here today with my very special guest and a longtime friend of mine, none other than the legendary Ard Matthews. Good morning, Art, and welcome to BlockTune.
How's it?
Yeah, super cool to have you here. And just to be celebrating this album that we're doing, the track that you have written for the album, and looking forward to later on in the show hearing you play it for the first time to our friends at Stax and hopefully your fans as well. So let me just introduce you guys quickly before we get into chatting to Art, just for those who are new to the show. Um, BlockTune is a protocol, is a initiative on the Stacks blockchain, where we are looking for a new way for artists to release and experience their music through Stacks. We're really looking to empower musicians to maintain control over their work and build deeper connections with their fans, and really just trying to look at a new model for artists to sort of monetize their music and to what I'm calling a creator worth income. So we are here today to celebrate the first album that we're going to be releasing through BlockTune. It's called When Walls Break, and it's a collaboration of 8 musicians, including Art, and they've all written an original track. They have collaborated with an artist from Stax to create a piece of art that really is inspired by each of the tracks. And this is going to be available exclusively on Stax through a new platform called Gated. Gated is has been developed by Gary Ryder. It is a new way, really, of listening to and buying music on Stax. You can go on to gated.so right now. This is a sneak preview for anybody who's listening to see. You're going to see 30-second clips of the tracks and blurred out versions of the artwork, but it's going to give you an idea of what to expect on Mint Day. So, right, I'm going to chat a little bit about Stacks later on in the show for those of you who are not familiar with it. But right now, I just want to get into chatting to Art because I think that's a lot more exciting than listening to me blab on. So anyway, Art, let's hit it off and let's jump straight into it. Just like you, or just like me, or just like us, we are from a town or city in South Africa called Durban. It's on the East Coast. It is beautiful. It's warm. It's sunny. So yeah, you were raised in Durban, in a home, I think, where I've read you say that popular music was scarce. I think it's also just about a time that we lived in South Africa. But you found a lot of inspiration in music. You've mentioned Nat King Cole, Elvis Presley. Tell me a little bit more about those early influences, how you got into music, just the original story of Ard Matthews and where it all started.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we grew up on the bluff in Durban, which, in case people don't get it, well, this was pre-Uber before I needed to, before I could just type it in the phone. This is what you just pointed to the cab driver,
You just wrote it on yourself
just
before
so
you
I
had
could remember, how to get home. Nah, um, it's a cool. It's one of those places that you grow up like. That is kind of like what's the nice way to say it with just saying it politely, not that not that I need to be PC, but anyway, it was a very humble little suburb, put it that way. And it's one of those places that you do try and get out of at some stage in your life, and then it's something that you go through a phase of going, maybe you're not the proudest that you're from there, and then eventually you go, you know what, actually that place defined me, and I think it's super cool. And then eventually on one sunny day, you decide to get a big tattoo in the form of a stamp to claim your pride. It's like being from Compton or something like that. It's quite gangster. It's pretty cool. Or like being from Belleville or from somewhere. It's actually super cool. And
isn't that where a lot of the most, sorry to interrupt you, but isn't that where a lot of the most beautiful stories come from? It's like nobody says, I grew up in a palace and I became,
yeah.
Those stories come from where you find yourself in those crazy towns and those remote places, or those places where you kind of look for more, for want of a better word, until you realize you had it all in the beginning.
It usually inspires people, if you come from very humble beginnings, it does add to your to your determination and your ambition and things like that. So yeah, if you get everything on a silver platter, I guess we've seen that's not always the nicest way, and that's all parents try and give for their kids, is to give them everything, and then the kids don't end up doing terribly much themselves. That's just, I don't know. So that's the point. So grew up on the Bluff, just me and mum. So raised single parent, and we had nothing. So not only was popular music not popular, but we didn't even have a radio to listen to popular music. So and mom being a Christian for quite some time now. In those days, the music was considered to be the devil's music, and very secular. And so radio, even if we had a radio, was really quite taboo. But there was some music that did filter into the house, and I had one of those old those square cassette things and somehow there was a mixtape of Nat King Cole, Elvis Presley, and Louis Armstrong. And this was pre-iPad, so I was bored. I didn't know, that's all. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. What is this piece of science, this advanced tech that I have at my veil? And and I used to listen to it. And all you do is you can just listen to it, and then listen to it again, and listen to it again, and then each time the tape starts stretching, so the key starts dropping a little bit in fragments, in fractions, and but I started emulating these singers, and I just really loved the tone of their voice. The Nat King Cole, when you're like, when I fall in love, you know what I mean? I was like getting as close as I could.
Beautiful.
Like really getting like the phonetics and just having fun with it. And so that's all I could do. And then the beautiful thing about that story is that it sounds like I was deprived of something, but it actually turned out to be the best thing, because I would have just ended up sounding like every other pop singer on radio, and especially in those, that would have been the 90s, early 90s. I would have just sounded like every 90s singer as well. So there's always a silver lining at the end of every story that sounds like it wasn't as cool as it could be. So it's great. So I have mum to thank for that, and it's a great kind of story. So I was very young. I was thinking like 10, 11, and I had this piece of high tech on, and I was now starting to emulate. Don't ask me how I got the voice that kind of low at that age. Maybe gravity had started working on me a little bit earlier than most people, and
you've always been a man, Art.
Yeah, but those are low voices, But so I started learning these songs, and just completely replicating and emulating as to the T. And there was a talent show competition that happened on the Bluff, which was quite funny, because there's not a lot of talent there in general. And I entered it, and I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and sing my song. I'm going to go and sing my Louis Armstrong song that I've learned, and then I'm going to win something. And I went up and just a cappella. I couldn't play guitar. I still can't really play guitar. And I went up and I just started, and I just sang the song, and I won the talent show competition, and I won a guitar, and I won guitar lessons.
No ways, Art.
Yeah,
I did not know this. I've known you for so long, and I didn't know the story. That's incredible.
Yeah, that is a true story. So I won the little talent show, and I was so happy. I got a guitar, and I went, and then so the guitar teacher was quite far up the road, but I tell you, this is the thing that I'll be telling parents: be careful who you get to teach your kids, because they can put you off for life. And this guy, lo and behold, did. He made it so horrific. There were so many dots, so much homework, that I was like, you know what, Mum, why don't you take the guitar, sell it, and whatever money we make, can I buy my first actual surfboard that I didn't have to steal from somewhere? Let's buy that. And I never played guitar again until I was 20, 21.
No,
So,
Art.
yeah.
But you know, the same thing happened to my son. He wants to play piano, and we got a piano, and we got a piano teacher, and it was the worst piano teacher in the world. And eventually, you know what I actually said? Because he didn't want to play piano out of the piano book, you know, he didn't want to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. And, you know, I mean, he was very young. So I
Yeah.
said to her, buy him a book I bought him a book, you know, just a music writing book where there was nothing in it. And he would sit and play for ages and ages, just listening to the music and letting it roll over him for a while instead of being forced into this kind of regulated, you know. And I think especially if you're somebody like you who's such a extraordinary creative, if you're not actually unleashing that creativity, you're suppressing it, you know.
I think the main thing for anyone starting any instrument is if you're not having fun, and that's
Yeah.
the reason that Just Ginger still together is we didn't have any contracts ever. We've never had that, but we had one thing between us. We said as long as we all having fun and laughing, and we haven't strayed from that. You know, we've had ups and downs and highs and lows. That's just life. That's 28 years as a band. You know. So of course we've had challenges, but as long as it's fun. So if you're learning a new instrument, if you're not playing the latest Taylor Swift song or Katy Perry or whatever you're into, if you're not enjoying it and singing that song over and over again and just playing something that you dig, then I think you're going about it the wrong way. Of course, I understand the advantages of learning the dots and the note values and the keys and the classics obviously are the greatest thing in the world. But in between that, if you know you're doing music because you love it, not because it can be very, very intimidating. And well, that's what happened to me. I was just like, no, no, no. And he was sarcastic and condescending from the way I was like, dude, I'm 11. Calm down. I'm like, what do you think? Just relax, you know? And so I was just like, no, thanks, mom. I'm never
I
going
promise
back.
you, Art, I've heard that story a lot from musicians who
Yeah.
can't read and write music, musicians who just taught themselves to play guitar, musicians who taught themselves to sing, you
Yeah.
know. Anyway, you mentioned Just Ginger. Let's talk about Just Ginger. So
Mm.
that's an incredible story. Just Ginger is, I mean, it's an iconic part of our country's history, of South Africans' rock history. Um, you have achieved double platinum sales. You have won incredible awards. You've toured all over the world. Let's talk about that. I mean, that was quite an early on success for you, right? You said you started playing guitar again at 20. How did the beginnings of Just Ginger happen? I mean, did that happen
Uh,
early on?
yeah,
Yes.
that was all very, very quick. So I think 20s. Yeah. So when I left school, I was actually playing drums in a death metal band. I just jumped into the deep end with a band that was already happening. I'd never played drums before. And it was just one afternoon at a friend's house. He showed me these grooves, and they're all pretty easy. It's just a lot, very fast. And I enjoyed playing the double pedal. And I just grew on that very quickly. I was, you know, adapted super quick. And so I was a drummer. I was a skinhead drummer in a Christian death metal band called Abhorrence. We were delivering a message of hope on a plate of rage, and it was delightful and short lived, as one can imagine, because
You must have been thrilled.
death metal is very niche, and then to be a Christian death metal band, then you never double niche in a tiny country with this market. It's one thing that I learned is don't ever double niche.
I can't even. I don't understand why that band never achieved the success Just Ginger.
It keeps me up at night. I still don't understand because we had it all. We had it all. So I was a drummer, and when I left school, I had the marks to go and be a lawyer, and that's what I was going to be. But I was like, Mum, and that's one of the advantages. And again, where Mum comes into play, she's quite a key character in my life and in the support of my music. I just said, Mom, by the way, I got great news for you. I'm not going to go and study law. I'm going to go to drum college. Shame. Can you imagine? She was like, yeah, that's lovely. Yeah.
I'm so excited, Art.
Yes, that's everything I ever wanted for you. So I studied drums, and I did the PIT syllabus, which is Percussion Institute of Technology. It's very hard for me to say with this lisp of mine. It's even harder to say. It's very hard to say. And then it was a really advanced course. I loved it. It was intense. I was really enjoying it, but I soon came to realize, with my brilliant business mind applied,
With your
that
legal brain, your
with my
legal
legal
ego.
brain applied, I was like, hitting these things that are annoying absolutely everyone, your neighbors and your mother, drive everyone crazy. There's not really a lot of money that comes in every time you hit those drums so well. How are you going to make the money now? And you've just left school, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like, well, this is not good. This is not great. Maybe law would have been a better idea. And so I started searching. I was like, I just happened to go out, and there was like a singer, a one-man band singer called Sean Liebenberg, who was amazing. And he was all the rage in Joburg. And at the time, he was getting 500 Rand a night. And so for our international friends, that's about $25 a night, which was unbelievable. Don't forget, this is 94. And I was like, what? 500 Rand a night? Can you just imagine? What would I just do? I'll do 3 shows and retire. That's all I
Yeah,
need to do.
that's all you needed to retire.
That's 3 shows and I'm done. You'll never see me again. I'm off to the tropics. And so I picked up guitar, and it was one of those stories that I had a little chord book with little dots in it, and I just learned everything. It was an overnight. This was long before there were other means of staying awake longer. This was a genuine overnighter of just complete enthusiasm. And I was just like, whoa, 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 what is this? That's cool. So if you do that and you move that there, cool. And I taught myself to play guitar in one night. Not well, still not well, as I say, but from the moment that I was playing,
How did you teach yourself?
just
How did
on
you
there was a
know?
chord book. Somehow there was a chord book that had the little dots, and it said you put this thing. This is number 1, 2, 3, 4, or the other way around. I can't remember now. And you put number 3 there, number 2 there, and then you do the strumming. You do the strumming thingy, and I remember doing this right through to morning, which was unique for me because I'd never done any all-nighters before. So that was my first all-nighter, was just with a chord book. And immediately, as soon as I could string more than 2 chords together, the second I could do that, I was already singing melodies over it, and unique melodies. So I was writing from the moment I could play guitar. And then I managed to I like learned a couple of covers, and I had a friend of mine who was a big stoner, Glenn Thompson, God bless him, he's a sweetheart. And it was one of those moments in life where I said, some people, if you play your best friend what you're doing, they can make or break you. They could say, Bruce, stick to your day job. Or even your parents would say that sometimes, and you'll believe it for the rest of your life. Whereas I had a very different experience with Glenn, and I played the song for him, and this was literally how he sounded. He was like this. Dude, it's better than the original, bro. It's much better than the original. That's how he sounded.
He was singing Nirvana. It was like
in his head, he was, yeah, exactly. He was on stage. He was on stage with Cat Stevens himself.
Yeah.
So he was. So I went and I knew that it was a Cat Stevens song, and then I went. I was waitering now because every drummer, most musicians have to have jobs. So I was waitering.
Actual job?
Especially a drummer. If you're a drummer, you better be working. I can tell you that much. You better have a job if you want to enjoy drums. Sorry about that to all my drummer friends, and to myself. I am a drummer. I'm allowed to say that. So I was working at the Black Steer, and I went on to there was a Wednesday night guy who came and sang at Black Steer, and my mates had picked up that I'd learned a song. And they said, go and play the song during his break. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, all right. And I went up quickly and I said, do you mind? Can I quickly play a song? And I played the Cat Stevens song, and I got off stage, and the manager came up to me. He says, right, you're starting next Wednesday, 250 Rand a night. So that's $12.50 in 94 for those for our internationals. 250 Rand. I was like, are you joking? I was making about 70, 80 Rand a night waitering, and I was running my ass off, to do that. I was like, absolutely. What I didn't tell my dear manager is that I only knew one song. And I didn't have a guitar that I could plug in, and I didn't have sound, and I didn't have a PA system. I didn't have anything, but I accepted the job gladly, and I said he had chosen the right man, and that I was the man, and I couldn't wait to see him on Wednesday to blow his mind with my repertoire that I had not yet. With my my extended remix. So I went back and learned a bunch of songs with Mum on the same high-tech piece of equipment that had made it all the way from the Bluff. We had moved from the Bluff to Johannesburg at that stage. That's where I finished high school, standard 9 and 10. And at that stage, the playlist had been upgraded to some 90s metal band. I managed to sneak it past Mum, and there was a lot of 90s.
Did you have one of those nice foam headphones as well with the orange foam?
Headphones? Are you joking? I was not that rich.
Really?
What do you think? I was a baller. No chance. She's like one times mono speaker on the high tech.
Yes, I was being loaded then because I had one. I had a Walkman cassette, man.
What?
Yeah, I could walk around and listen to my music.
So could I, but I had to carry this thing with me. As long as I carried it like this, I could go wherever I want. Was the original iPod.
Incredible stuff with the tape in it, but you needed a pencil. You always needed to have a pencil with you as well in case.
100%. And then don't forget, now I've learned a song and it's in G, and being warm and in summer, the next morning I play the same song and it's F sharp. So the songs are changing every day because the tape is stretching, and oh my God. Anyway. So it was a very good, learning curve for me, but it was painful. It was tough. Fortunately, all 90 songs at that stage all sounded the same. That is factual. Thank goodness. All those bands literally sounded the same. No one knew what they were saying. No one knows what Pearl Jam and what Eddie Vedder sings about at times. There's famous songs about about a couple of his songs that he wrote. So I was like, well, that's it. I'll just write them out phonetically because we didn't have Google. I couldn't get Google lyrics. So I had to write it out and go, what the hell is he saying? And so I wrote it down in my little book. I was like, here was home, here was him on the hill. I was like, yep, that's it. That's Pearl Jam.
That's like the easiest songs to learn. It's just
I love it. I can do the whole album. I didn't even have to listen to it. And so I did the show the next Wednesday, and I had 10 songs under the belt, and by hook or by crook, I had organized a speaker and a guitar with a jack input. I had a jack cable and everything. It was unbelievable. And
this is like you may as well gone too with your tour bus. This sounds
unbelievable. This was next level.
You reached the pinnacle of success at this point.
Exactly. I was all kitted out, all the gear and partial idea. And so I sang. I went to the show. I had to do 3 45-minute sets. I was so nervous. I played those 10 songs in 14 minutes flat.
I'm actually crying.
All the ballads sounded like thrash metal. That's how fast it was. Anyway, so it was funny. Luckily, the people in the audience are like, it's sounding so good. Start again. Because at the end of the 10, I was like, guys, this is as far as I can get with this gag. I'm sorry, man. I can't lie to you. I'm here to be your entertainment, but I am fresh out of songs. And this was like 15 minutes into my first set. And they were like, the guy at the back was like, play it again, start again from the top. I was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Lucky it was Durban.
No, this is Joburg. This is
Joburg. You moved to Joburg.
An elite crowd.
Ooh.
An elite black steer crowd. A rib-fueled crowd.
Ribs and beer.
Ribs and Black Label, yeah. So it went very well. Fortunately, I salvaged it. I just swapped the songs around and took a few breaths and slowed it all down a little bit. and I managed to do it. But that's how I started playing guitar again. And then I slowly started creeping into this solo cover kind of circuit. And eventually I was getting booked. There was some weird showcase thing that happened, and I managed. I just had my guitar. Still didn't have the speaker that I was working with because it wasn't mine. And I just plugged in and was lucky. And they started plugging me into like restaurant gigs and this gig, and and it slowly crept up from like 250 rand, $12 to about $15, and then the big one started coming. Then $25 a night. I was like, whoa, yeah, baby, this is it, this is it. And
Mom and me, we're taking a cruise. We're
that's
taking
it.
a family.
I said, Mom, sell the house, and then I realized we'd never owned anything. So I said, okay, cancel the lease. Uh, and then I realized it wasn't the lease; it was she was staying at friends. So. Uh, so that was that, and then I decided to take the little sojourn to the UK because I broke up with my girlfriend because she was getting very annoyed with how much guitar I was playing, which I was doing to have a career and make an income. So I broke up with her, and then I was devastated, of course, because she carried on living her life and didn't stop living after I broke up with her. And that's when I wrote Shallow Waters, and but
Really?
yeah, that was how Shallow Waters was born. I thought she was very shallow. I had no idea. I still don't.
Is that really what it means, Shallow Waters? I've never asked you actually. Or was her
Yeah.
name Shallow Waters? Was that a real
No,
name, birth
no,
name?
no, 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 no. It's no. That's what it's. I don't know. I don't know how Shallow got into it. I don't know. I can't actually remember the origins, but it was around the breakup of that. And I'm joking
Yeah.
when I say that I thought she was shallow, but that's just that was the origins of that song. But I was actually kind of bummed with everything, and I didn't even take my guitar to London. What I didn't realize as well is that I also hadn't taken any form of visa at all, working visa, and I was going to go and start my new life in the UK. And I walked into the first bar as I got there, and I was like, guys, look at this money
Yeah.
maker. Look at this face. I am your man. I will manage. I want to manage this place. Just put me into a managerial position immediately and watch the turnover. They were like, that's amazing. You don't look it immediately, but we believe your charisma. All you have to do is show us your visa. And I was like, ooh, oh
What's
yes.
visa?
What is this visa thing you speak of? So the very next week, I managed to find a very illegal thing happening in the UK where they basically treated migrants to us like migrants, and I was a week later cutting lettuce on a farm in Chichester with a tractor chasing me around, backbreaking work, earning £60 for 6-hour days of 15-hour work, living in a trailer in a caravan.
What a story.
Still with no guitar. I had now left my guitar, and I'd written Shallow Waters, and I'd left my guitar in South Africa. I was like, I'm over this. I'm done. I don't want to do music anymore. I'm heartbroken for some reason. No one can understand young angst and why we
No.
make these
Let's
decisions.
just talk about Shallow Waters quick before you carry on with the story,
Yeah.
because at this point, had you recorded it? No. You've
No,
just
no.
on your guitar. Okay, for anybody listening who hasn't heard Shallow Waters, head over to Art's Spotify, or well, actually don't, down to Spotify. Unfortunately, it's the only option right now.
Yeah.
And listen to Shallow Waters.
Go to
because
YouTube. You go to my YouTube page. Do that rather.
Yeah, rather go to YouTube. There we
Yeah.
go. That's better.
Yeah.
And give it a listen, because it's probably in my top 10 favorite songs of all time. I still have it on a playlist. I still listen to it.
So now I've got this song.
Fantastic.
I've got this song in the bag, and but I've quit music now. I'm a professional lettuce player. Lettuce picker, should I say? And okay, that sounds. I was way more ambitious than just playing guitar. I wanted to see how many rows of lettuce I could clear in a day, and I soon realized that wasn't as much fun as I'd ever thought. Not that I ever did. And I called my friend Bruce Fulford, who was back in London. And I was like, dude, I think we must do this music thing. Can we somehow get some money and buy a battery powered amp, and let's go and busk in the streets of London? And he said, absolutely, let's do it. So he got it was a pig nose amp, and I just got a coat hanger, put it around my neck, bent the end of the coat hanger so that the microphone could fit in there, and plugged it into the wireless into the battery powered amp. And then the other amp he sat on with a djembe, but that's where my guitar went through. And we started playing in Leicester Square and Piccadilly Circus and all around London and Covent Gardens and all the things. And we were getting hundreds of people coming to the show, doing several a night. And then at the end, just going, if you enjoy the show, please, if you could give us any donations. And we were making beautiful money, and it was incredible. It was summer, it was London. It was so fun, and that was really the start of all of it.
What a memory.
Yeah, it was amazing. Actually, we actually found a photo of that. Bruce sent it to me the other day. It was so cool. I must try and where it
Yeah.
is, but that's a cool little part of that story. And then I said to Bruce, "Come on, let's take the show back to South Africa. You get on the drums. I'll do bass pedals with my feet, and we'll be a 3-piece, but just 2 of us. And let's go and get some of them big De Niro's. Let's go and chase more of those 500 randers in South Africa.
Let's earn more rands. Woohoo!
Yeah. Enough of these thick gold British pound coins. Let's go and get. Yeah. So I'm getting to your story about how Ginger started. So we got back, and at the waterfront in those days in Randburg was quite a thing. It was the hub of a lot of music. There were a lot of restaurants around a fake dam called the waterfront. And I was playing, we got a gig pretty quickly. The band was called Cat Chambers, because Bruce's favorite drummer was Dennis Chambers, and my favorite singer at the time was Cat Stevens. So we called it Cat Chambers. Oh, genius, man. Genius.
I'm telling you, with this brain, you should have been.
Listen, I may still, who knows?
Go back. Yeah, still time.
Exactly. And then so now we were playing, and there was a band that was formerly called Two Princes, consisting of Vernie and Brent, and they had done a few stints at Sun City. They were really, really tight, really good. Brent, phenomenal drummer, unbelievably good looking, and scariest of all, singing like you can't believe. I've never seen anyone sing like that. I was like, what? And you drumming like I've studied drums, and you drumming better than anyone I've ever seen, and singing better than I can. This is not fair. And 40 times better looking with a 27 pack. And I was like, come on, that's not fair. So in my breaks, we used to go and watch. The Two Princes had become Tri-Funk Era because they'd taken on Tax Matomi, a bassist from Kimberley, and they just smoked. They killed it. It was all covers, granted. So it was all covers. It was not a problem, but they cooked. And the places that they played at were packed. They were the it band at the time. He'd also just come from a band called Walk This Way, which really used to cook. I don't know if you remember those, GK. Do you remember that? Do you remember Walk This Way?
Yeah.
If you ever went to White Horse Inn back in the day, then that's when you would have seen them or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I didn't know that was Brent. Okay.
That's Brent. Brent was slamming. So he went from Walk This Way.
Legend.
He's an absolute legend. Yeah. And then, so I used to go watch him in my breaks, and he used to come watch me in my breaks. And while we were also doing covers, I was also playing my originals, a few originals that I had started. And one of them was obviously Shallow Waters. And he walked in on a particular night when I was playing Shallow Waters. And then one or two, and then a few nights later came in, and I went to go watch him. And then in true Brent form, I mean, cell phones had just got to South Africa, and I was staying in an isolated little farmhouse with Bruce. Oh, I can't even remember the area in Joburg, but far out. Sure, I can't remember. Honeydew? Yeah, I was in Honeydew. That's where it was. And he just called me on the 20 minutes of battery life that we had on the phones in those days. And he said,
and the one photo.
What? No photo on the phone? No, you're joking.
Oh, you didn't have photos yet? What? It was still Tetris.
You see, you were a baller, Mel. You were. I'm starting to understand that you came from wealth. You came from obscene wealth.
One photograph on my Sony Walkman.
Wow,
dude. Yeah, I realize now that I was rich. I always thought I was poor.
Exactly. You always think you're poor until you meet someone who was poorer. And so Brent he just called me up and said, how's it? You're going to join the band? Or we need a singer, and we're going to do original music. And he hung up the phone. That was it. I'd hardly known the guy. I didn't really. I think I just got his number, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds about right, I guess. And so I joined the band. And fortunately, Bruce had met someone in London before South Africa, a girl in London who he had been kind of developing something more with, and she had moved back to California, and there was talks about them getting together and marrying, which they actually ended up doing. So our departure with that drummer wasn't too hectic. It wasn't at all, because we were still very good friends. And Bruce moved back to go and get married, and I joined Tri-Funk Era, but there were 4 of us, so Tri-Funk Era was, once again applying my brilliant mathematical mind. Just with the beautiful mind, I was like, something's off. I can't put my finger on it. So we dropped the try, and we became Funk Era for a while, and then we were like, well, we need a band name now. And don't even ask me how Just Jinger started. It's not clever. It's not well thought of. It's the worst. I think it's the worst name, but somehow it stuck.
Did you just make that up, like randomly?
This is our stoner friend Glenn again. Glenn was
oh
like,
my God, Glenn, what did you do?
Oh, Glenn is still around, and he was our roadie. He was such an enthusiast, but he was like, oh, I was like, oh, I'm feeling just Gouda, bro, just Gouda. I was like, how that is even a saying, or how that became a saying. Yeah. And then somehow we were like, oh, Just Jinger. And then, of course, we're going to be very unique and change it to Jinger. And then we made the biggest marketing mistake in the world. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but after the first 2 records that came out that were very successful, they sold double platinum, both of them. We went to America now. I'm cutting quite a few stories. Got signed to Capitol Records on a holiday. I was on holiday there, and that's how that happened. And then Brent, we're getting on stage one night, and the American dude was like, "Welcome on stage, Just Jinger," and we're like, "No, you can't do that. Please don't." And Brent was like, "That's it. We're changing the spelling." And this is the day before SEOs. Yeah, he was like, we can't be welcome on stage being called Jinger. I was like, well, we spelt it like finger except with a J. What do you expect them to say? It's not like they're saying it wrong, just because all the South Africans know that you say it Just Jinger. So what did we do? We went ahead and changed the spelling to Jinger so that they wouldn't mispronounce us, the 4 Americans that would ever get to see us. And what we subsequently did was cut off absolutely every South African who ever Googled us. And could all the, this is before SEOs even a things. And so that was not clever. It was a beautiful way to cut off our fans.
It's like, hey, thanks everybody. I'm so happy for my double platinum. I'm starting all over again.
Yeah, we're starting a new band. Good luck finding us. Same band, different spelling.
Where you actually can't just put it on your social media and say, hey guys.
Yeah. By the way, just doing a little rebrand.
Yeah, it's like I need to hire 3 publicists, send out 12 press releases, do 62 radio interviews. Okay, I just want to say hi to some people who've joined us.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us, my friend. M is a huge supporter, so good to see you here. Reese Swanepoel, he's in the house. Reese is the artist who did the album cover artwork for When Walls Break. There we go. So, hey, Reese, good to see you. Thanks for joining. I'm excited to let everybody see what you've created. I kind of put a shape over it so nobody could actually see what it is, what the artwork looks like. So that's going to be released. Peace, Love, Music. Thank you as well for being here, always for helping out. So yeah, good to have you guys here. Please stick around because we've been chatting for 45 minutes. So we're actually, we need to, when you put the fast button on your messages when you're listening to them, we need to speed it up.
Scroll ahead if you're watching this.
Scroll ahead. We've got Art's going to be performing his track that is on When Walls Break. So please stick around to hear that. It's a debut for the Stax audience. And When Walls Break is coming out on the 19th of November. It's coming out on Gary Ryder's platform, Gated. Gary and I have been working very hard to create something super cool. So stick around for that and share the room as well, just so we can get a couple more people in. We've got a lovely audience here, so thanks for everyone for joining us. But share the room and let's get as many people as we can to watch this performance. I'm super excited to share it with you. So, Art, we're closing in on the hour. Should we talk about, because now let's kind of move forward, right? So Just Jinger are in America. They've cut off their South African audience with their name change.
Yeah.
And you guys were with a record label. I'm trying to think. Curb Records. Capital.
Yeah, we started with Capitol Records and ended and ended with Curb Records in the States.
Yeah, so you had this kind of, how long were you there for? I mean, let's just kind of, because you obviously returned back to South Africa, you know, that everybody discovered you again. And I mean, your band has had the most, I mean, honestly, I would say, you're up there with, probably, if not the top band, and even solo artist in this country. So you've had this, from this incredible success with this band, and then an incredible success as well as a solo artist. So let's kind of move ahead to that, to the winding down of the band, and to because I mean, it's not like the band is over. You guys are still very much alive. You are very much still friends. Because like you said right in the beginning, you got to keep having fun with what you're
As long
doing.
as we're having fun, we'll keep doing it. And so that's what we said and stuck to. The band's cooking. We had 2,000 people at the Grendel last weekend, and we've got other shows that are beautiful. And we're playing with Goo Goo Dolls at Kirstenbosch in December, and so the band is still strong, and it goes in waves. There's a couple of years where so we're on a nice little wave again. But everyone's doing their own thing. There's also been like all of life, there's been personal issues that happen and affect everyone. People go through things, but we've stuck it out. It's been 28 years,
Sure.
but there is just something that happens when the three of us get on stage for some reason. Thank God, Denham and Brent are so good that they actually make my guitar playing look like I actually know what I'm doing. And then I think obviously the singing and the songs managed to cover up the rest of the. Of what lacks, but
I think you put down. I mean, you're an incredible musician. I've watched you perform so many times, and it's, for me, as somebody who's been in the music industry for a long time as well. You can get the best singer who plays the best, sort of most perfect notes, or whatever you want to call it, but being a successful musician is not necessarily about that. It's about, it's something a whole lot more. So, your sort of incredible success, both as a frontman and with Just Jinger. I mean, I've watched you play guitar,
It must have been back in your drinking days then, but I do
Well,
appreciate that.
the sentence there, I was kind of like, where do I go from here?
That's
No,
why
man.
we don't drink anymore.
Well, let's just say you can work that guitar, okay? You work it well, my friend.
I put a lot of charisma behind it, I promise you, but the technicality is not great. But it doesn't matter. I'm joking. I obviously hold my own, but the strength is always in the songs, and that's what people don't realize. Because you can be the best musician in the world, but if you're playing fantastically on a shit song, it's still a shit song. So so we are fortunate that we've had some songs also in the time, with New Girls and all the bands. It was such a lucky window where we were the only people who dominated the kind of airwaves in at that time. So we're very fortunate. I don't know.
You created the industry, really, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Because before you guys, I mean, and it was there was a. I mean, how many bands were there? There were a handful of you guys.
Yeah.
But prior to you guys, there wasn't anything. So, besides just the tape deck, and there wasn't actually any music to go to, and we didn't have a culture of original live music or original recorded music in our country. And that was kicked off by yourself, Just Jinger, the Springmont Nude Girls,
there was Squeal and Sugar Drive and the usual Amersham, all those, but there was literally, as you say, about probably 8 bands doing some stuff, in different degrees of genres and success. And so we were very fortunate that happened to us. It definitely helped, I guess, Arno and myself and the bands from that era be able to go into and of course Prime Circle with a little bit later on after us, but still did very well. But it helped us, jumpstart the solo thing. So it's been cool. So I think that's why, especially after the little tour that we did to London, it's so nice to still get that acknowledgement that what we did back in the day still means something, and also still relevant because people are enjoying the new music, which is always important for any artist. You do want to be creating all the time and not just relying on a little snippet of time. And I think we've done a healthy combo, not without putting in a lot of hard work. The guys have put in work. We have worked extremely hard. We've all had terrible record deals. We've all been ripped off. So we're hoping that there's a new platform that could be a little bit better. I don't know if you've heard anything about that. I don't know if you know of anything to
I
that.
don't know. I've been looking. I mean, I'm still looking. I don't know. I've heard this something. It starts with an S, starts with a B, block something, blockchain.
Something,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, look, let's. I mean, I think it's interesting with music. It's moved through technology, not only in the way it's created, not only in the way it's distributed, not only in the way it's listened to or consumed. From our very special vinyl and tape days to CDs, MP3s, streaming, and now blockchain. I think music is an incredible because I think it's everybody uses it. Everybody at some point in their day, even every day, is exposed to this thing, and this thing that nobody pays for. It's not air, and yet we consume it like it is. So I think I'm so excited to have you on board for this project. I'm so excited for the artists that have come on board, because I think it's a message that is helping spreading the message of really what streaming has done for the music industry, and for artists. So look, I want to keep it positive. I want to keep it exciting. I want to find ways. That's a huge part of what I'm doing. I'm working with Gary, with Sandy as well, who's looking at licensing. We're really exploring all parts of the industry. We're bringing in as many people as we can to try and build something here on Stacks. For those people who are listening, who aren't familiar with Stacks, Stacks is a layer 2 blockchain that is built on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's obviously the hardest money. Bitcoin is the oldest blockchain. Bitcoin is the most secure blockchain. However, you can't build on Bitcoin. It's like gold. So you need something just like a jeweler that is going to make that gold into something. And that's what Stacks is. It's a layer 2 on Bitcoin. And it allows you to build on Bitcoin. It allows faster transaction times because Bitcoin's very slow. And it allows it to be scalable for us to have these fast transaction times, but still have the security of Bitcoin. So if you really are going to look to be kind of building on something, I think you want to be building on Bitcoin. So we've got Stacks, we've got Gated, we've got BlockTune Music, we've got all these platforms, protocols, people working together to try and create something. And now we've got this album that we are super excited to share with everybody. Like I said, if you go to gated.so right now, you can have a look at the album. You can flick through the tracks. You've got a 30-second preview of all of them. You can either buy the album on Mint Day, which is the 19th of November, or you can buy it track by track. So we're trying to emulate kind of how it was before. Obviously, we just started streaming and using music for free. But anyway, exciting times. Let's talk about, I mean, obviously we know you are releasing this track, which I'm super excited to listen to in a moment. What are you up to now? What are you working on? I see, when did you last release? I think it was 2020. When did your last release come out?
Our last full album was 2018. So, but I've released a couple of singles.
21, you released something. I know.
Yeah. I did something at the end of last year. I've released something earlier in
Yeah.
March. So they're trickling out. I'm doing singles, but I've got a lot more on the boil, and I would just say watch this space because it's been a long time coming, and the floodgates have opened. And I've never enjoyed. There's actually a cool question on here on YouTube from Reese Swanepoel saying, during your many years of pursuing your dream, have you ever come to a point where you felt like quitting, and what kept you going? So the answer to that is, absolutely. Are you joking? It's the music industry. There's so many times, but I think the thing that brings you back is the love and the music, and then fortunately somehow it's still received. People do still want that, because we were fortunate that we became attached to the nostalgia of South Africa and the landscape of South Africa. So it's very different, to just having a kind of a hit and disappearing. We were quite a big part of a whole era, and that transferred to the kids and all that. So there was enough, I guess there was enough confirmation of what we've done to just keep us going. And that also, and the fact that I didn't end up doing a law degree, so I had nothing to fall back on. So kids, always make sure you do law first, and then no, I'm joking. Don't ever. No, I'm joking. So yeah, of course, everyone wants to quit. I think they all want to quit everything that you're ever in, and it's just about tenacity and about self-belief, which takes a long time. You get knocked, but you get up, you get back up again, and that's where I'm feeling at the moment. I'm feeling super strong. I'm going to be 50 years old in March, and I feel like I'm just getting cracking. So watch this space. So are we gonna do a song or what?
50 is the new 25.
Absolutely. I've never felt better.
Yeah, let's end on that. Yeah, come on, let's perform this while Art is performing. If you guys do have any questions, I see we've got a really nice audience watching now. We've really grown, so thank you for everybody. If you have got any questions while Art's performing, this is your chance. Pop them in the comments, because he can answer, a couple of questions afterwards. But let's go for it. Okay.
All right, let's try. Let me get the sweet reverbs on. Oh yeah. Yeah. You make it all right. 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 Yeah, you're all right. The time has come. The day is here. Today we found love without any fear. All our visions have been clouded by doubt. Together transcending, yeah, the truth is now out. Out in the open, there's something so clear. What was light years away is now right here to stay. You make it all right. You make it all right. Honey, you make it all right. You make it all right. Yeah, it's all right. Oh, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Out in the open, there's something so clear. What was light years away is now right here to stay. You make it all right. You make it all right. Honey, you make it all right. You make it all right. Yes, you do. It's all right now. Right from the start, it's always been all right. It's all right. You, when you look from the bottom up, I'll be there. I'll be there. You make it all right. You make it all right. Little something like that.
Wow. That is incredible, Art. Like Reese
Cool.
says, what an absolute treat this Saturday afternoon, and what a treat it is.
Lekker, man.
Thank you
Well-
so much for being here. Do you want to? I mean, do you want to talk about the song? Do you want to tell us a little bit just before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be the coolest love song ever, because it really just talks about that one person in your life who's been there through thick and thin. Obviously, Mum played a big part in that for me, and I was very fortunate that I got her to record on the end of that. So you actually hear her singing in choir at the end of that. I just tracked her voice like 20 times and made her sound like a choir. And the song is just about that significant other, or a sister, or a brother, or a lover, or a pet, or just a best friend who's been there from the during thick and thin and highs and lows. So that's really what the sentiment of the song is that person makes you feel all right. And I don't know, I'd had the idea for quite a while, and for my birthday this year in March, I decided to lock my phone away and give myself a gift of actually just finally putting it onto track, and I ended up recording that song. So yeah, I hope that's what resonates with people. I wish that everyone has, and never mind having someone, because at the end of the day, the person who will always make you feel all right is actually you. So for those who don't really have a significant right now, there is hopefully always someone, but at the end of the day, only you are going to sort it out. And so you make it all right. And thanks for including me on the record. Thanks for all your missions and your whole team for providing a different outcome and a different option for ways to support musicians. It's a brand new bold landscape that you're entering into. I'm fortunately into it. We might need to do a little catch up, GK, because you were introducing me wonderfully to your land, which I know that you've gone quite deep into. So I know that we're in good hands as long as you're at the helm with your team. And I look forward to seeing how this all works out. Thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Art. It's an absolute privilege to have you on the album. It's a privilege to be able to speak to you today, to have known you for so many years, and to have you on the album as well. So I look forward to it. This is a very pioneering thing. You guys are the first in a journey that's going to take a long time. And so yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who joined us. And look out, 19th of November. Make sure you check out Gated in the meanwhile. And thank you very much. We'll see you next week, same time, 3 p.m. ET, for an interview with Khan and Josie Field. So we'll see you then. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Art. Good
Have
night.
a good one. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
You make it all right. You make it all right.
We've slipped into gray.
I'm struggling to find a reason. Does it need another song? If it's only an illusion.
Wanted to see me and I've been waiting
So much space